This is episode 96 of the Discipleship Directives with Dr. Dan Crawford. Dr. Crawford, he is the founder and the president of discipleallnations.org. And we are very, very glad to have you today because Dr. Crawford, as much as he is the director and founder, he's also the professor emeritus for the Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. Dr. Crawford, I am always glad to have you, to bring you back into your podcast and to host it with you. And I'd like to know, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well today. It's a good day, and looking forward to a special guest on our podcast today.
We're always very happy to and privileged to have our guest, not on a weekly basis, but anytime that we do have a guest is a good day. And today is one of those days because Dr. Gabriel Cortez is with us, and Brother Cortez, he is the director for the Hispanic Education Initiative for the Hispanic Education Movement of Texas Baptist. And Gabriel, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, sir. We are. I am, especially for multiple reasons. One of them has to do because, and Dr. Crawford, you bring this up often in the podcast. Even last podcast when we interviewed Raul Balandrano, we you mentioned in the podcast that the three of us we were the result of Texas Baptist education, and precisely for me that has been my journey from early stages until recent. And this is why I'm bringing back the conversation, especially with Dr. Cortez being with us, because September is a special month within Hispanic education among Texas Baptists. And Brother Gabriel, I love for you to talk a little bit about what's happening in the month of September for us here in Texas Baptist.
Thank you. Yes, September, we have called it or identified it as Hispanic Education Month. Um, Starting this Sunday, or Hispanic Education Sunday, we just want to emphasize the importance of education, mainly for our Hispanic Baptists in Texas and even other places, especially in the U.S. and Texas, when you see the growing numbers of the Hispanic population, and the need for so many to hear the gospel and reach the potential for which God created them. We Texas Baptist thought it would be important to have someone in my role on a full time basis. And one of the main things we're focusing on is Hispanic Education Month. What we've done for Hispanic Education Month, we've asked very great people, leaders, teachers, to help us develop sermons for the entire month of September and develop lessons for preschoolers, for children, for youth and adults for the entire month of September, all based on the example of Daniel and his three friends. And we're excited. We've been excited about sharing that with churches. That resource, if at some point, Brother Vidal, you can share the link for people to sign up to receive all these resources. Another thing we did there, we added videos and information, contact information for our Baptist universities in Texas that we're doing our best to point our students to as the best place where they can get an education and grow in the Lord. As you just talked about, right? How so many of us are where we are. We're doing what we're doing because we were the beneficiaries of education at our Baptist universities and seminaries. So that's kind of like a summary of what we're trying to do, and just get people excited about education, pray for students, and also providing a list of ideas that things churches can do to promote education in their church and community. So we're excited about starting to build that this month and every year moving forward.
Wonderful. Gabriel, remind us of the website where they can see or they can access information on Hispanic education. I will put the website or the link for the resources, which they're downloadable in English and Spanish, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Both languages on the Book of Daniel. But also tell us about the website. Where can they access information for Hispanic education?
Yes, our website, it's simple, educatetexas.org, educatetexas.org, educatetexas.org. All of my information is there, an idea of what we're doing, what's coming up, and all of that. And I like that you emphasize that the resources that are available in English and Spanish, they are not designed just for Hispanic churches. So if there's other churches that would like to, benefit from these sermons or lessons and resources, we're more than happy to have them do that. And even like if they don't get to do it the month of December, but they still want to do it, you can. It's designed so you can do it any month of the year, really.
Just resources available.
Mhm.
So, Gabriel, we are talking about what's taking place fairly recent in your life, but Dr. Crawford, for what I understand, met you and has known you now for years. And Brother
Yeah.
Crawford, I love to just ask you what do you know about this young man, and if we can go back into those early years.
Yeah.
Well, we were both a lot younger when we met. Uh, I taught a practicum at Southwestern Seminary. It was a spring revival practicum that had been going on for many years before I joined the faculty and continues to this day, sending student preachers, wannabe preachers, to outside the Bible Belt to small churches that couldn't afford any other way to have a revival meeting. And so we would send them a student, and my job was to train these guys to get them ready to go preach revival meetings. Many of them, it was their first revival meeting, and some of them, it was their first time to preach, other than maybe their home church or a nursing home somewhere near home. But Gabriel came to Southwestern Seminary. It was his first semester, and somehow he got into that practicum. I think he probably was having culture shock coming from Puerto Rico into Fort Worth, Texas. And I intensified that by sending him to California to preach his revival meeting. I don't know if that was his first one, or I don't know where that was in his experience level. But, I often say, because I taught for 22 years, and that's about 5,000 seminary students, that I remember the really, really good ones, and I remember the really, really bad ones, and the rest of them just kind of fall in the middle, and I don't remember them. So to say that I remember Gabriel Cortez, I need to clarify he was one of the really, really good ones. And the second
Thank
year, he
you.
came back for another dose of that revival practicum, and
Yeah.
I sent him
Yeah.
somewhere in Mexico. Gabriel, I
Yes.
don't remember where it was, but somewhere in Mexico, I sent you to preach a revival meeting. So, yeah, that's how we got to know each other, and I've kind of followed him through the years and kept up with him, and he's just a good friend as well as a former student. I'm glad he's with us
Gabriel,
today on the podcast.
Yeah, most definitely, Gabriel. What do you remember, brother, about that? Was that your first semester in seminary, where the class that Dr. Crawford is making reference to?
yes, it was spring of 1996. So it's going to be 30 years here in a few months, which is crazy. Fresh out of Puerto Rico. I had served as a summer missionary prior to that in Oregon, Pennsylvania. And the Lord called me 90, somewhere in 92, doing missions in Puerto Rico. And but that was the next step in the journey. Was gonna go into seminary, and first semester had Dr. Crawford for class, spring evangelism practicum. Got to go to Wairika, uh, California. I believe that was the small town I was in. I had never preached like a whole week thing. and that was it was fun. It was a blessing, and it was exhausting at the same time because we would do visitation in the mornings. We'll do like a Bible study in the afternoons, and then preach in the evening. So it was a
Wow.
busy week. I had just gotten married a few months before that, so that was my whole week away from my wife. And after we got married, it was a great experience. And then the next year, next spring, I went to preach at Isla Mujeres, Mexico, and then we did missions, medical missions in Playa del Carmen, Mexico as well. So uh, not the touristy areas, just the where the gospel and the care was mostly needed. But it was just a tremendous, tremendous blessing. Uh, Two things I won't forget about, especially that first class with Dr. Crawford, was the emphasis of prayer, how important prayer is to our own personal lives, but also for God to do amazing things in ministry. And then I was texting with Dr. Crawford recently. I remember the definition of revival that we learned back then. It came from a book by Richard Owen Roberts called Revival. And his definition for revival is that it's an extraordinary movement of the Holy Spirit that produces extraordinary results. So much more than just preaching every night of the week at a church is the Holy Spirit moving in extraordinary ways, doing extraordinary things. So a memorable time. It was a great foundation to my full time ministry, and I've always looked back with just great joy at those 2 semesters.
Wow, that's impressive. And when you dated a little bit over 30 years ago, for some reason in my mind, chronologically, I get the impression that we were, because I was also entering seminary back then, almost entering. We were kind of at the last generation that did not have access to the full online experience.
Hmm.
Within the next few years, the online thing is going to explode. So
Yeah.
we got the privilege to actually be on campus and actually, in your case, moving to Southwestern and things like that. And well, what a blessing. Hey, so again, this is a little bit over 30 years ago. Now we are coming into the month of September. We are in the month of September, and you're coming down to the valley for our monthly pastors gathering. This is the third Tuesday of every month, and this is going to be the 16th, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the 16th of
Yes.
this month. You're coming down, and remind us of the title. What are you preaching and teaching? Give us the title, and then if you don't mind, give us a brief summary of what you're going to be speaking on the 16th here in Harlingen and then in Mission.
Yes. Uh, First of all, I'm more than honored and excited about being invited. Dr. Crawford reached out to me actually about like a year ago, and so that date's been on the calendar since then. I've known many people that have had the blessing to go there and teach and share. So I'm excited to be one of those. Our topic is the personal challenges of church leadership. Uh, those things that we face as individuals and as pastors, as church leaders. That mostly concern me as a person or us as a person individually. I remember reading a book. It was probably 2004, and I was teaching a class at Baptist University of the Americas. And there's this little book called Achieving Balance in Ministry, and powerful little book. I don't know if that's available anymore, by Anthony Hetley, but uh, he one of the first statements he made in his book is how ministry is hazardous, and so if you're not careful, ministry can be a hard thing, difficult thing for you and your family, especially, and the church, right? Uh, so we're gonna start talking about that and what that means and why is that true or is that false, and then we're gonna lay out some identify what are those personal challenges that we have, but we're not gonna delve deep into those. I'm always more interested in uh, talking about the solutions, right? The ways to overcome those challenges, because I think we're all pretty much aware of what the challenges are, right? Because if you're a ministry, you're a pastor, you're a church leader, you know what they are, right? You don't need all these data to convince you that this is a challenge. So we'll identify those, and then we'll move on into 10 uh, or so things that we can do to uh, be in a better position to overcome those personal challenges in my own personal life, my family life, my church life, and ultimately, really, it's about health, right? Me as a pastor, church leader, being healthy, not just physically, but spiritually, mentally, and all that. My family being a healthy family, and the church being a healthy church, so that as we face challenges, we can deal with them appropriately and overcome those challenges with the Lord's help. So that's kind of a gist of a summary of what we're going to be talking about. If you want to know more, just let me know. But that's just without spoiling the beans or doing anything like that. Just that's pretty much what I've thought about.
Sounds good to me. I'm ready. We've covered a lot of different subjects related to church leadership this year. And I've been looking forward to this one because this one gets more personal than some of the ones that we've talked about theories and things, but this gets down to the personal level. And after this one, we have one more teaching session in October, and then we have graduation. And I don't even know how many people we're going to graduate, but there are about maybe 150 or so that attend, and then we've got people that are online and live streaming. So I'm
Awesome.
looking forward to it. Yeah. Tell us
And
more
I
about
think,
it, Vidal. What,
yeah,
when,
and I
when, and
think,
where?
yeah, I think Vidal and Dr. Crawford. I think we've all been pastors, and we have served in different roles, beyond the pastorate, and we've seen the good things, right, and the not so good things, um, as we've struggled with things, or people we work with or minister to, serve, go through things, and so if we can help our pastors and leaders overcome those challenges, I think that goes a long way. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you, Gabriel. And Dr. Crawford, you're right on the money. So, when it comes to that reality, and you just reminded us that we only have the month of October and we're pretty much done for the year, and then graduation comes around. So, it's amazing how quick this whole transition has taken place, and the blessing of so many speakers. And it's been a good year. One of the things that I wanted to and Gabriel, you reminded me because this past weekend, Rolando Rodriguez and I spent the weekend in Houston doing some training for pastors with PAVE, which is the Church Revitalization Church Health Initiative for Texas Baptist. And there are basically 7 sessions that we do in the training. It's a extended version. It's a weekend experience. But the very last one has to do with the revitalizer, with the individual. And one of the very difficult questions to ask after you go through the training is precisely if This is a personal question. If I'm the person to really lead this transition, which is not easy. So you reminded me of that because potentially, and I'm just making generalizations, we live in a time and age that we are so driven by comfort and security and predictability in such a crazy world that maybe sometimes that mindset translates into ministry. And a lot of people, a lot of pastors potentially enter ministry precisely to avoid conflict and being in discomfort situations. And I'm thinking to myself, I think that's
Yeah.
exactly the opposite. I think that's
Mhm.
exactly. Now, we're not masochists and we're not looking for trouble, but at the
Right.
same time, we just have to remind ourselves that all that is available for pastors is broken churches, and all that is available for churches is broken pastors. So you got to choose your leader, you got to choose your church. There's no perfection in this world. And we're looking forward to have you, brother, and looking forward to hear what God is going to speak to you and through you, because you just reminded us that you've been in ministry quite a bit now. I mean, if you got to Southwestern back
So,
in mid '90s, you were doing ministry prior to Southwestern, obviously, and so man, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to have you. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you. Quick reminder, everyone, we are gathering together on the 16th of September. This is on a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. at Primera Iglesia Bautista in Harlingen. This is Pastor Robert Rodriguez's church. He's the pastor there, and he is the host and the one to blame and responsible for this whole experience on that Tuesday. Wonderful, wonderful opportunity to fellowship and to learn from the scriptures with Dr. Cortez. And then we'll get to do exactly the same thing that evening at the Valley Baptist Retreat in Mission. So 2 locations, same presentation. Love to have all of you guys come and join. Lunch after the morning session and dinner before the evening session. So 5:30 to begin at the Valley Baptist Retreat in Mission.
awesome.
Gabriel, thank you, brother. Thank you for being with us. And thank you, everyone, for joining the conversation. Whatever you're consuming the podcast, please subscribe. And if your generosity expands beyond that, love for you guys to share the content for our conversation today. Have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless you. And we'll see you guys next time. God bless.
God bless.